some very bright, articulate people. And Bill Clinton was president and balanced budget, but the Republicans were in the legislature, and historically America's done fairly well when we've had divided government.
Veto power.
Otherwise, historically, Democrats raise taxes and Republicans raise debt. Okay, who wants to ask a question? Who has a question to ask?
Yeah, I have a question.
I have a question.
Do you? Or, yeah, here, grab the mic.
All right. Obama and the Democrats recently assured.
We are directing your question to
To the Democrats. Obama recently assured. Obama recently assured a plumber that he didn't want to punish his success, but simply make sure the people behind him have equal chances at success. Why is the Democratic Party pushing for fairness and equality for all Americans in their rhetoric, but are willing to fund and support organizations such as ACORN that breed corruption and injustice and undermine the very basis for their rhetoric, when it is beneficial to them? Example, equal and fair access to health care, but it's okay to trample on the very voting rights of the same citizens.
Did you say trample on voting rights?
Yes.
Oh, okay. It seems an interesting dichotomy that we're talking about Democrats trampling on people's voting rights when Republicans commit election fraud like it's candy. But anyway, going back to why it's important that we look to the future. I think the context, and I don't exactly know what the context of this comment is the idea that sometimes we have to realize that if it's healthcare or whatever it is that we have to look to the future. And that, yes, perhaps we have to associate with ACORN, which I'm not really sure what it is. I would like to know, since it's been mentioned twice.
You simply can answer the question.
I'm good. What's ACORN? Okay.
That's where Obama's choosing the community organization.
It's an independent organization
Yeah,
that basically been registering voters.
Right.
It's very far left.
Yeah. They get together with deep votes sometimes.
I guess I'll give a quick thought to that. I know, I mean, you mentioned ACORN. And I think,
Hold on, Bobby, I'm not done.
Oh,
Okay, if we're going to make allegations, that's great. I don't know why, because it's not necessary. This campaign on both sides is all about having people go out and vote. If you feel that certain people shouldn't be allowed to vote, that's great. Go tell them, kick them off the rolls. But both sides, Democrats, Republicans, Independents, are working together and have worked together for a long time to get as many people out to vote as possible. That's the America we live in, that's the America I'm part of and you're part of. So to trample on someone because of the fact that perhaps they worked with an organization that pushed people to vote in an inner city organization that had to get out to vote, why is that such a terrible thing that he wanted to actually organize people? I guess it's because he's a community organizer, and that makes him unqualified to run for president. But he was also state senator, also other things. But apparently that's important, that it matters what his first job out of law school was. But the first job out of law school for a majority of people is something low. It's something that they do that pays the bills.
So registering dead people, Mickey Mouse, the entire Dallas Cowboys starting lineup in Las Vegas.
These are allegations that are not founded. If they were founded, if
They're
those have been
registering dead
founded,
people to vote.
so have Republicans in Ohio and Milwaukee when they vote for more people than are registered in a ward. Look it up. It's been founded.
I'm
It's been
not, I'm
passed.
just saying that, I thought you missed that point.
If we can respond, kind of sounds like it goes both ways because there's people called lobbyists. You might have heard of them. They're kind of the same thing in that they influence the laws that come about. So are Democrats completely innocent? No. But John McCain's top 9 advisors are all lobbyists or former lobbyists. So to sit here and say, you're bad, you're registering bad voter, they're dead voter, they're dead, how could you do that? And then you go around, and I find it hilarious that we can actually have people who like to point the finger, but when you look around, these are the people making the rules that are on your side.
I guess I'll just make one point. I know you're going to move about lobbyists, and this is just one thing that's always irked me. People say lobbyists, and it's just synonymous with this horrible, evil people that try to push government in the way that they want. But you have lobbyists for everything. You've got lobbyists for the American Cancer Society. You've got lobbyists for, AARP. You've got great lobbyists out there. A bad apple will win the bunch, occasionally. And then, get lobbyists like Tom Emhoff, who we know did work with a lot of Republicans. I agree that, he was corrupt and he should be kicked out. But at the same time, the same thing goes with voter fraud. I mean, though it does go both ways, I would tend to agree that usually it is with, trying to register, registering lower income people is great and we want to get them out to vote. But when it comes down to, fraud and, blatant fraud, see Chicago is just full of it. We've got more people registered than they actually live in the ward. You've got dead people registered. It happens all the time. I think it's something that you have to start cracking down on. We have to start make sure that everybody's vote does count by not having more votes influence that people that aren't actually voting. And that starts with voter reform, such as make sure people actually live where they say they're going to live, having a voter ID bills and that sort of stuff, and actually checking over all the registrations to make sure that they're actual people and not whoever, Joe Schmo, or somebody that doesn't have residence at all.
I know in Europe they solve some of these problems because people vote on weekends, so everybody can vote, including poor people, and registration is a lot easier. I grew up in Chicago, so I saw Mayor Daley and his machine steal the election for Illinois from Nixon, and Kennedy won. On the other hand, I've seen enough statistical analysis that leads me to believe maybe that Kerry won Ohio in 2004, but a bunch of computers stole it, and thus the election. So I've seen both ways.
I hate computers.
Okay, anybody else want to ask a question? Here. We're back there. We got a young fellow who's got a lot of energy. Hello. Some enchanted.
This is for the Republicans. Do we really want a vice presidential? Do we really want a vice presidential candidate that believes it's God's will to have a natural gas pipeline through Alaska?
First of all, I believe that was, isn't that one of her pastors or something?
No,
So
I
if
have
we're
an
gonna go
article
back to
right here.
that,
It has
talk
been-
about Reverend
It's on
White.
YouTube, actually.
I think, okay, I'll take this. You have a lot of people, obviously, Christian people, we as Americans should pray about stuff. Saying that, it's God's will, the pipeline that should go through here. I might necessarily agree with that statement, but at the same time, okay, you pick out one statement and you look at a whole laundry list of things from other candidates, things that they're tied to, things that they sat through. For instance, one thing, I don't want to make Reverend Jeremiah Wright a huge issue, but here's the thing. You've heard his whole speech about, the rooster is coming home to roost, not God bless America, but God, America. I'm not going to say it because I don't believe it. But when he said that on the Sunday after 9/11. And that was, the church that Barack Obama went to for 20 years. After that, he went there for 7 years more. This is the kind of thing where you can look at, one sentence that somebody says, one time they say, but somebody that, they go to a pastor for 20 years, and they're spouting out this stuff. Who wasn't in their church on the Sunday after 9/11? Barack Obama had to have been there, and he had to have heard that. And people to sit through and, listen to that ideology and contemplate it and not, stand up against it, I think that's something you got to take a lot more seriously.
Interesting point. We all remember that Jerry Falwell said America deserved it because we let homosexuals run free, and he's supported by a lot of Republicans.
Well, yeah,
He was just
so
a
that goes on all
supporter.
sides.
McCain didn't.
So just point of order
But
there.
I agree with you on that. Bethany was about to say it, but if there was a Republican that attended his church and actually attended his parish, or whatever, and
I think it'd
sat
be
in
all
church-
over the media if it was John McCain going to Reverend Wright's church, but
No, he had another way. I think it's religion, his reverend stuff. I have to jump in.
God bless America.
I have to jump in because my father's from a society where people took the religion seriously in Bosnia, and they celebrated difference with a vengeance. And this issue of religion, we've seen it on all sides. Reverend Wright, the pastor absolving Sarah Palin of witchcraft, John McCain with a bunch of pretty far out end times rapture believers, introducing him at different rallies. It's happened on all sides. And whether someone goes to a church for 20 years because it's part of a large organization, I'm not sure. But this religion stuff is very touchy. And I don't know how much of the election is going to determine, but I'll let the independents, because they tend to be not quite as excited on these religious issues. Tell me what they think of this.
I think that question's a bit unfair. You can't, and even if I understand your question right, you said that, do we really want a vice president who, I couldn't hear you.
The article says that, and the YouTube video shows her saying that it's God's will that there be a natural gas pipeline through Alaska.
Okay, and my response to that is that we have many people in Senate and Congress, for that matter, who separate their beliefs from the state. And I think that I believe it's addressing that question. The reason being is that we see Sarah Palin as a 24/7 politician, whereas she's a person. She's allowed to have beliefs, and as long as those beliefs do not sway how she follows through with her duties as an elected official, I believe it's okay.